Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Everyone's still getting in the room, so I'll give it a couple more seconds. Really great to see you guys. Welcome back for those that have joined us for a masterclass before, and to those that are joining us for the first time. So great to have you here. We have a really great masterclass prepared for you today. And a couple of notes on questions and the interaction. When we're going to be going through the presentation, of course, you can ask any of the questions that you might have, and you can do that in two different ways. You can either put it in the chat tab below, and then when we have a Q&A at the end, we'll go through those questions. Or preferably, you can use the questions tab. So this way we have all the questions in one space, and other people that are also interested in your question, they can press a little arrow and the question gets upvoted. So then we can see in order which are the most popular questions, which we can begin answering. Today, your presenters are Katja, our OpenUp psychologist, and also Aaron, our OpenUp medical doctor. And we have a really great masterclass about lifestyle and how to build healthy lifestyle and healthy habits. And the floor is yours, guys. Enjoy.
Thank you so much, Gabby, for introducing the masterclass. Very happy to hold this masterclass together with Aaron. The topic is healthy lifestyle and how to build a healthy lifestyle and routine. And today I'm with Aaron. He's a medical doctor working for OpenUp. I'm a psychologist. So we're giving you the best of both worlds today. Well, when we thought about the masterclass for this month, we thought, it's been December, now it's January. We have a month behind us, where many of us have maybe left their routines. Routines have been shaken up a little bit. That's usually what happens in December. Family gatherings, different eating styles. And sometimes you go to a different place and your routine is different. So it all might have changed our lifestyle a little bit. And now, the idea is, we want to tell you how can you get a bit back on track, or what's necessary to build a healthy routine and a healthy lifestyle. What it consists about, it's really, we're going to give you a little bit of a practical background on what's going to happen. We're going to have some polls. We're going to do some questions. So it's going to be some interaction as well. A little bit more on the agenda today. What's very important for us always, it's of course to create a safe environment. We have the chat in which you can ask some questions, and we would really enjoy it if we can start a conversation with you and can learn from each other. About the agenda, what will you get out of this session? It's about the knowledge on the relationship between mental health and mental habits. It's about understanding what healthy habits actually are. And we're really going to show you also how can you support healthy habits, and how can you actually build a healthier lifestyle and maintain it. Because one of the things we're going to talk about as well is also, sometimes it's not always easy to keep up the habits, and what can I actually do when I have a relapse, and how can I get back on track. So we would like to start with a few statements, and we would like to ask you to what extent you agree with the following statements. A healthy lifestyle has an impact on mental health. So you can agree or disagree. You can vote. You can submit your vote. And then we should be able to see pretty soon what everybody has shown in the polls. So let's look how the polls look. Yeah, well, obviously, 99% of you are saying yes, it's very important. The healthy lifestyle is important. Yeah, and of course, yeah, that's how it is. Yeah, we'll dive a bit more deeper in it in the end. But yeah, the way you eat, the way you sport, all of this, of course, has a big impact on on your mental health. The second poll would be, yeah, it's about routines. What would you say about clear routines have a positive impact on a healthy lifestyle? And also here you can click the button on it, agree or disagree, and then you can submit your vote on in which way you think it has a healthy lifestyle. Yeah. And yeah, a little bit less. Some of you, 9% say disagree, but the majority does agree. And yeah, that's really something that research also has shown, that it is good to have routines. It is good to have clear routines and to set them and to stick with them. And especially if you've been off track, it's good to get back to these routines, and they can positively impact on your health and how you feel. And the last poll we're going to ask you is about healthy lifestyle, myth or fact. Is it important to have a big goal when wanting to change a habit? Do you agree or disagree on that? Okay. Now that's interesting. I see the votes coming in, and for the first ones, it was very very clear, and I can see for these one that it's a little bit different. It's 64% of you disagree, and 36%, so it's 2/3, 1/3 about agree on it. And the ones who disagree are actually the ones that are right, because in the end, it's about setting small goals also and having small steps, and don't always have to have the big overachieving big goal for it. Sometimes that can be quite overwhelming if you have such a big goal, and the idea is to really break it down into small steps, and to guide you to the path of changing. And that can sometimes be putting it into small pieces. And that's why, disagreeing was the right answer on this one. Okay. What does building a healthy lifestyle actually mean to you? I mean, that is really a question that we wanted to know from you. And because it's not, we also would like to have some interaction from your side. And we want to hear from you. What does it actually mean, building a healthy lifestyle? What are you thinking of? And you can give us your answers. You can give us your answers in the chat for that. Let's see, a lot of answers going in on this one. Yeah, it's a lot about eating habits, about the balance between sports and eating habits, going to the gym. I see being happy. Nice one. That I see that one, being happy, doing sports. Yeah. So it's a lot of different areas that you're all talking about. Thank you for all the feedback here. Go outside, walking outside. Yeah, thanks. A wonderful overview. And like I said before, we're also, yeah, Aaron is here from the medical side also, to give us the view on building a healthy lifestyle, yeah, from the medical perspective. And yeah, I would like to invite Aaron now to take over from me and to, yeah, give his view on building a
Oh,
healthy lifestyle.
yeah, thank you, Katja. Well, basically, to the next slide, and I see a lot and lovely answers in the chat, which basically we're gonna run through. Um, well, what you will see now first is a more medical and more physical way of looking to lifestyle, and you see all different lifestyle domains. So, whole food, plant-based nutrition, which is like the nutritional part, your physical activity, and also inactivity is also part of our lifestyle, of course, sitting down at work, but it's all physical activity in itself. Stress management, you need to relax sometimes, but also stress, we're going to dive into that later, but stress is something, a part of life, and we can't avoid it, except taking risky substances, for example. We can avoid that, and definitely risky substances are some part of a bad lifestyle. But alcohol, for example, can also be beneficial in some sort of way. So we don't have to ban everything out of our life. I saw balance in the chat. Sure, balance is a great deal. Also, restorative sleep. Sleep is a major important lifestyle domain, and social connection. It's feeling connected. But this is more of a lifestyle medicine definition of a healthy lifestyle. And if I may just read out loud what a lifestyle medicine approach is for a healthy lifestyle, it's a lifestyle which includes activities and habits that encourage the development of total physical and mental fitness, and it and which reduces the risk of major illness. And basically, all the other facets and domains I just spoke about have a contribution to this healthy lifestyle and also healthy living. But if we have a different approach, and this is more of like a more mental and psychology approach, which is a positive health. And positive health is all about the ability to adapt and self-manage in the face of social, physical, and emotional challenges. So basically, it's about taking charge of your own life in a certain way, but also being resilient. And that's a really key element: resilience and taking control of your life. Well, in this case, positive health pays attention to bodily functions, which is basically the nutrition, basically the physical health, the physical activity, but also mental well-being, meaningfulness. So what gets you out of bed in the morning, quality of life in general. How do you rate your life? And participation, which is also feeling connected to other people and how well you can work in daily life, for example, and also daily functioning is part of that as well. So basically, all these domains are interrelated. So health, in a broader sense, mental and physical health are interrelated, and you can't separate them from each other, which is really good to understand. I see a chat question: isn't alcohol actually bad at any level? Yes, but in a certain level, it also can reduce stress and get more connection with other people. So actually, it will get more participation and also more connection with other people. So in a part, it is bad physically, but it can be beneficial mentally. So it's all about the trade-off. It's all about the balance. Um, yeah, sure, I'm not advocating alcohol, definitely, but it is about the balance. Moderation is key. Jeremiah's, you're right. Well, and this also introduces me to the question: what are your thoughts on stress? Is it mainly good or bad? And this is actually a question which I really like. And this is something I can chat on for hours and hours and hours on end. I'm not going to bother you with that. Definitely not. But I see the most people say stress is bad. And some people, and like 30%, say it's good. And yeah, well, may I give my answer? And this is my own philosophical point of view. It's not decisive way to look at it, but I think this is mainly true because stress is always good as long as you can recover from it. It's all about the balance. So everyone down here is right. It's all about the balance because we need stress to actually live. And you can imagine food scarcity gives you stress because you want food to survive. But if you have too much stress, you eventually, well, die. And also, without any stressors, we also die. So stress is part of life. We can't cut it out, but we want to balance it out and just, well, work with it instead of against it. So stress is a very, very important part of life. But once again, have to state it, it's all about the balance. Well, but there are a few things. We are, as medical doctors and psychologists and psychiatrists, we have figured a lot out, but we don't have a definite view on what is the healthiest lifestyle. We do know a lot about it though. And there are two things you actually can do to make your, well, life healthier. And those are move more and be happy. And move more in itself. So moving more, sitting less, doing, well, moderately vigorous exercise will get you into a better mental mood as well. And also physically, it will, you become healthier. But it's not the only thing you can do. And being happy is not like to be perfect happy and like the FOMO experience of Instagram nowadays, but it's being happy is longer duration. It's about being content with life. It's subjective well-being. And the two things, the two concepts that really, really work with this is gratefulness and compassionate. So basically being grateful what the opportunities and also the hard times you're given, it's makes you more it makes you accept the circumstances more, and you can work with it a bit more easily, and it will lead to bigger and more happiness over time. And being compassionate towards yourself in the first place and also to other people will also make you a bit more happy. So those two things really, really, really you can do, and at any level in your life, in any domain, and it will make your life healthier. And that's definitely what I wanted to say about this one. And I want to give it back to Katja. I hope this was clear for now because we're going to chat a bit more. So Katja, can you take it over for me?
Yeah, thank you, Aaron. Yeah, now we got the idea what is all needed to feel healthier, to build a healthier lifestyle. And now it's a question, how do I actually achieve it? How can I support in building healthier habits and also in setting my goals? So that's what I want to look at with you now. And one of the ideas we want to share with you is here that change, of course, is it's a spiraling event. It's a process. It's not a singular fact, but it's rather to be seen as a spiral, and it is not something that happens right away, but it has different stages, and it can relapse, and it can go up again. And I would like to share with you a theory. It's actually quite an old theory. It's been around for a long time, but it's been used many times because it is quite powerful to set a perspective on change and how it works to get support on change. And this is a trans-theoretical model of behavior change, it's called. It has different phases of change because not at all phases where we're at, we need the same things to get us moving. So as you can see here in this pie chart, there are different phases, and actually starts with one phase, which is called pre-contemplation. That's a little bit on the outside because not in all of the theories it's actually included from this one. Then it's contemplation, preparation, action, maintenance, and relapse. And on the other side you see a little arrow to permanent exit. That would mean you've perfectly achieved change. Well, that stage, most of the time, very difficult to reach. Most people actually stay in the maintenance part. But what is important to know about this model is that, it depends on what stage you're actually at to know what you actually need at that moment. So, for example, if you're in the pre-contemplation phase, you need different things. At that point, you might profit from gaining more insight or to raise awareness. Like, why is it important that you actually change? And a person that is in preparation, they really need a real action plan. I mean, then you can put the next steps together. And maybe really shortly to go through these different phases. Like in pre-contemplation, it really means at that moment, people don't really think that they are going to change anything in pre-contemplation. They are thinking about it maybe within the next 6 months. So it's really still in the far away future. People often underestimate the pre and cons of what's happening. So this is what can happen at that at that stage. And if we walk this through from preparation to action, maintenance, well, maybe I'll talk a little bit more also about like the preparation or the determination phase. I mean, that's really the phase where, you think something is going to change. You're ready to take action. Prochaska defines it within the next 30 days. And that's, and I just see here also a question. Okay, when do you know in what stage are you at? I think it's on the one hand, it's a bit, evaluating myself, like preparation. Am I, for example, at a stage where I can see that, I want to change things? Is it within the next 30 days? Small steps that I'm taking towards my next goal? Well, I guess if you're in the action phase, you kind of know you're preparing. Then you actually, at the action stage, you have recently changed your behavior. You're actually doing something about it. And and you intend to keep moving forward. And once you've started moving forward, you come into the maintenance part. And that is really about, keeping it up and keeping the positive phase up. And I'm just looking if here are some questions. Could you say pre-contemplation is the same as procrastination? Yeah, I could. Yeah, it could be. Yeah, it's pulling it away. It's like you're thinking about it. But I see also Aaron answered on that. Yeah, it's you're actually unaware of your behavior, but you're not really ready to change yet. That's actually what pre-contemplation also would be. So these, that's a theory, one of the theories on changing, that you walk through these different phases to actually make a behavior, to actually change a behavior. And now we're gonna go a little bit further, and we're gonna look at how can we actually set that into action, and what does it take? And how can you maintain a good habit? And for this, I wanted to give you shortly a few tips from that's from the American Psychologist organization. And they're giving these recommendations for making lasting positive changes. And they are saying, well, make a plan that sticks. Start small. Change one behavior at a time. And that's a little bit controversial, because especially if you have it over really unhealthy behaviors, like over addictions, for example, then it's the theory is also you should just go completely out of that setting, and you should change actually a lot of your behaviors. But if it's about picking up with a healthy lifestyle, for example, with sporting, then you can say, okay, you don't need to do all the sports, everything at once. Just set one goal, change one behavior at a time, and that could be something that's that you can also maintain then. And very positive, also involve a buddy, ask someone, activate your support system, and make sure that there is someone who helps you keep up with the good habits. And there's something, a theory that makes it very graphic. And for that, I'll hand over to Aaron again. And he will come with some even more concrete tips on how you can maintain the positive changes.
Before I go into dive deep into what you can do, I wanted to answer a question of Tracy. If you go into action without being prepared enough, you could hinder yourself. Well, it's not a question, but actually it's very good to state. So I'm going back into this circle, because when you enter, well, basically everyone is somewhere before they are aware and before they want to change. They're in the pre-contemplation. When they are maybe aware of what you want to change, you are in the contemplation, but you're not ready ready to change, because you think like, hey, it's not bad enough for me, it's not going to gain me so much. But before you go into preparation, there's a stage that you think like, hey, this is beneficial, and then you go from hey, this is actually going to work for me. You're going to prepare, so you're going to make sure you've got some research done, like, hey, I want to change this because this reason. It doesn't really matter what kind of reason it is, but for you it's important. Then you go into action, and then it's like a plan. But like I tell now, tell you now, it's like a circular movement. You go one way, but actually when you go unprepared into action, actually you can be thrown back into preparation, sometimes even back to contemplation. You will never ever really get back to pre-contemplation, because you've thought about it once in your life, so maybe it most of the time sticks, but you can go back and forth into it. So basically, even when you go to maintenance, when something in your life changes, it actually can throw you back to action. So it's not linear, it's like a circle. You can go both ways, and hopefully you leave the permanent exit eventually. But it can take a while, so it's never so thank you, Tracy, for actually, it's more a statement, but I really liked the statement, so I wanted to give a little bit more detail to it. APA, and then we have Atomic Habits, and now I'm gonna put something in the chat. Search book summary, Atomic Habits. Everyone, just copy and paste in Google Images and search for the yellow graph. And this is actually all you need to know. And all right, sorry, James Clear, that who have written this book, but this summary is just too clear and too helpful to actually leave out of this seminar on this masterclass. So please feel free to search this and come back, right? Because you still hear me, come back at us. Because I will just dive deeper into this with a fairly brief explanation. So what's the most thank you. What's happening is about basically Atomic Habits about 4 steps. It's make it obvious, make it easy, make it attractive, and make it satisfying. But this can be fairly how do you call it, still vague in a certain sense. So the only thing I wanted to point out is the importance of habit tracking in specific, because if you write things down, that's the key, because you are able to track yourself over time. So write it down. That's the major key. But diving into the 4 steps, the cue, make it obvious. I always talk about the bottle of water when you want to drink more water. So if I put my bottle of water in my visual space, aside of my laptop, wherever, but it's in my visual space, I see the bottle of water. If it's full, I know I have to take a sip of water. So basically, it helps me reminding and make it super obvious that I need to drink more water. Craving, make it attractive. Actually, social, it needs to be social. And that's about the body. It's the APA body system. So make someone else accountable with you. So write it down, show it to other people. But also, if you need to go to a gym, go with a friend, for example. Because if you do it together, you're more likely to do so. Make it easy. It's about not being perfect. I will come to that later, the next slide. But not being perfect actually is about getting those reps in. So if you want to become amateur photographer, for example, you can do 1 day a month taking a lot of photographs, or just practice every day about 10 photographs a day, and you will become a better amateur photographer, or even a professional photographer if you like. So that's about make it kind of easy. Doesn't need to be perfect. Get those reps in, and get friction out of your life. So smooth is the opposite of friction. So get rid of the barriers. What's limiting you? Get rid of all those things. But it's easy to say so, but you have to think about that. And I will come to that later as well when we gonna talk about the write down stuff. So reward is basically gamify, like Duolingo. Everyone knows Duolingo. It's the sound that makes you want to continue with the next level. It gives you a visual sign like, hey, you've done something superb. So go on, get to the next level. And it's also measuring your progress while doing it. So Duolingo actually is the reward system in itself as an app. So this is the most clear explanation I can give. Chat GPT says, yeah, perfect. I like Chat GPT. If you want to know something, it's always good to ask, or ask a professional as well, because they also know sometimes more than Chat GPT though. But going on to the next thing is about those small, tiny reps, because if you do every day 1% better than you did the day before, at the end of the year, you become 38 times better at it than you were at the beginning. And if you do 1% worse, there's only 3% left of you. That's normally not what is going on, but it's about getting small changes into your life. Do it more often. And if you think you're failing, it's not really about failure. It's about just try again and just keep on going. But what makes you try again and again and again, and make it very clear for yourself, is to work smart and not hard. Please stop working hard. Because if you have no action plan, every superhero movie you watch on Netflix or wherever you're watching them, they always have an action plan. They always tell each other, I'm going to do this, then you're going to do that. Because it basically makes it clear and makes it measurable, and it makes it easy to stick to the plan. So make it specific, make it measurable, make it attainable, make it relevant and time-based. And I do need to say, time-based is the only one I kind of dislike in this way, because time is most of the time our enemy. But if you don't have a deadline, you don't feel obliged to actually do it. So time is necessary, but most of the time we fail because of time. But time limits and deadlines can be set again. Most of the time, don't try this at work, but for yourself, it is actually, you can go, well, a bit easy with time. But if you feel like, hey, I'm changing, but I need more time, revisit your plan, write it down again, give yourself some more time, but keep the deadlines a bit sharp, but keep them, well, attainable. That's the most important one. So this actually, I'm not going to dive into it, how you could do this perfectly. We have handouts actually available. I'm actually going to try to give you the handouts. If it's going to work, this is something we have to find out. So bear with me. I'm now dropping stuff into the handout stuff, and I'm publishing it. Hopefully you guys can download it now, and otherwise, well, leave it in the chat, and we will figure a way out that you actually can download these stuff. This is actually a plan, these two little files. So these are actually the questions you can ask yourself to make it specific, make it measurable. And if you ask yourself these questions, you can fill it in your action plan and become your own superhero. So yeah, basically get practice and just get going. Write it down, show it to all the people around you, and make yourself accountable, but maybe ask some help in the process as well. And yeah, this is also the time I'm gonna hand it over to Katja as well, because relapses are part of the deal. We always have relapses. Our mind is actually wired to have those rigid patterns, and it's really hard to get rid of. But Katja can tell you more about that. So
Yes. How to react after a relapse? Yeah, we've learned now actually how to stick to our action plan. What are the steps that we should take? Write it down and make ourselves accountable for it. how does it work when we relapse? Yeah, important is to get in the conversation, of course. Yeah, describe what was it, for example. How did you feel about it? In it, start the conversation with someone. Talk about it, because relapse is something that happens to all of us. Most of the time, people change something. They pick up a habit, and yeah, it doesn't work without falling back into the bad habit. So important is to be aware of it, and to revisit your plan, to try again, and to look into it again. So those are the key things for that. And one of the really important things is to really know, change. Yeah, like I said at the beginning, it's a spiraling process. Huh? You start it, you go up from one stage, you go back again, and you always fail unless you try. And it's about falling down 7 times, but standing up 8 times. So whenever you encounter a difficult situation, it's about looking back at your sheet, looking at your actions. What did you actually write down? And seeing where you can start again. And basically knowing that every time you're in a relapse, it makes you closer to succeeding the next time. So don't see it as a failure, but actually see it as a success, and see it as something that you've learned from and that you've grown from, and see it as a motivator for the next time. I am just looking in the chat for questions from us, and I heard from some of you guys that you didn't get the specific forms that we were sharing. It's when you Google SMART, I think you will also find specific forms that you can download on there. So there are really different ways of finding these action plans on how to set them, and it's really all about making it as specific as possible. So well, I think we've almost come to an end for our masterclass now. So I wanted to give this up to questions, and I would like to hand it over to Gabi.
Yes, thank you, Katja. In regards to the comment that the handouts were not there, yes, it seems like we're having some issues with the handouts app. However, I have created a WeTransfer link that I shared in the chat, so you can go ahead and download the 2 files that Aaron was talking about from there. Hopefully this works. If it doesn't, please let me know. I'll resolve it as soon as I can. And in the meantime, we received some questions, and I'm just going to be looking at the questions tab. I think Aaron already answered one of the questions. I don't know if you want to elaborate on it, but what are some of the best ways you can help or encourage others to make a change? Or does the contemplation phase have to happen within ourselves?
Yeah. May I take the stage? Yeah.
Go for it.
All right. I'm a medic, so most of the time, one of the most important things as a medic is quitting smoking. That's a real conversation starting in our consultations, and I had to drop it in this session as well. But quitting smoking is actually, some people, sure, it's all around the news. People are saying it's bad, but some people actually literally say like, "Hey, I feel better." But they have conflicting internal messages, because the outside world is telling like, hey, you have a risk of lung cancer, but actually you feel more calm when you had smoked just as 1 minute ago. So basically, it's not yet there. You're in this contemplation phase, weighing the pros and cons. So you're already left the pre-contemplation. So this is really something you need to know. So like, they are already in the contemplation phase. And the only thing, as a doctor, you can say like, hey, but does the smoking really work with getting relaxed? Because if you don't smoke for 15 minutes, do you feel the urge again to smoke to get relaxed again? Because this is a vicious cycle of addictions in general, that you need to use more and more to get the same result. So that's why people start to smoke more and more over time. And eventually start to kind of get less efficient during their daily life, because the substance is actually involved in kind of holding them back. So this is just for contemplation, because we are already into the contemplation with smoking. Most people are in the contemplation phase with smoking, but you also have the pre-contemplation. People are unaware of their habits and they are not ready to change because they are literally unaware. So what you can do is literally, the only thing you can do is try to raise awareness and be supportive. If you say like, hey, you should change this, it's never going to happen because they are not ready yet. So just give them information to try to convince them, and just not convincing them literally to change, but to kind of give them information that suits them and that they start to think about it. So planting a seed literally into their brain that they can grow a healthy habit upon. So it's not about telling them what to do, it's letting them think with the things you say to them and let that grow into a change. And during this process, they will leave pre-contemplation and move into contemplation phase and start to think. And then you can start a conversation because they are weighing the pros and cons. And then you give more and more information, being supportive. Pro change talk is really essential now. And then people are moving into the preparation. Preparation is really saying like, I'm going for it, I want to change, but I don't feel ready yet, but I need more details. I need some, maybe even a bit of help. I need some information. And you can literally hand out now information, maybe even some practices, and get them to write down a plan according to Atomic Habits or 1,000 million other methods. There are billions of methods. Sure, you can use other ones, but then they move in from a preparation into an action phase. So this is the long elaboration on your question, but that's how you actually move people from unawareness and pre-contemplation, contemplation into action. So as a manager, you can literally do this with your employees, but also at home as a parent. You can do this with your kid, or as a kid with your parents, whatever you like. It's everyone works kind of the same. So please feel free to use this, but just not abuse this. Please don't. People also have their own say, of course, and also their own needs. So don't try to convince. Just kind of work with them, go into their mind, and just work with their mindset and with their ideas. That's a major thing. And with the handouts, it was already answered, I guess, by Gabi. So
yes,
thanks.
In the meantime, I answered the handouts question. Looking at the questions, we have another one from Nicholas. Great question. What are your best tips for adopting a healthy lifestyle when you're facing a big life change? For example, having kids and have less time to take care of yourself. Healthy cooking and having routines can be more challenging. I think it's a very relatable question that many can see themselves in. So what would be your suggestions?
Yeah, can I take that one up?
Go for
it. I think one of the points is really take one step at a time. Huh? Before we said if you have one big goal, just look at one thing. I mean, evaluate maybe for yourself, what is the one thing that you want to pick up now that you think is most important. And if it's food, if it's healthy food, then try to concentrate on that and try to integrate that into your routine. And give yourself some credit also for it. It's a challenging time. I'm having children, a lot of things are changing. So also keep record of it. And make sure that when you've picked up with when one of the healthy habits, food, is a routine for you, then you could start with a new one. You could pick up the next one. But just make your goals, make them not too big, and reward yourself also when you've done them.
The only advice I always give is stick to the basics. Stick to just try to eat good food, try to get at least enough movement, try to get enough sleep. And especially as a young parent, this is a thing which is probably highly unlikely, very unlikely, but which in the process, like the 6 domains I talked about in those 2 different models, you can use both. It's literally those 2 models lead to the same endpoint. It's just being resilient and also take control of your life. But the most important thing is acceptance, gratefulness, and once again, that little bit of accountability, and try to do it together. So if you are more grateful for life, together with your wife or husband or whomever is in your environment, you can deal with stresses more easily. And that's why gratefulness, acceptance, and also, sharing and feeling connected to other people soothes the mind and also takes away a lot of the stress. So move more in a certain way and be happy. And be happy is really, really the key in this sense. You are becoming a parent and you are going to have a lovely time. It's going to be a hard time, but it's also going to be a very amazing time, something you will never experience otherwise. So be grateful for all those little moments, and that will reflect and kind of, put it into a more positive light. Yeah, this is the only thing I can tell about this. Just the only thing.
Thanks, Aaron. And we have time for one last question, and it's by Tracy. Does anyone know why we self-sabotage when we want something so much, but keep ourselves in our comfort zone? Is it fear of the unknown, and how can you break the cycle of the self-sabotage? Great question.
I can definitely answer this from a very, very medical point of view, but I really want to know what Katja has to say on this as well.
Yeah, well, from the self-sabotage, wonderful question. I mean, on the one hand, we want to really change something, but on the other hand, we're not really there yet. And like what you said is, it's always easier to stay in the comfort zone than to actually leap out. And a lot of times it's that we still stick then with what is easier and what feels more comfortable and what we know how to control. I mean, even so, it's maybe painful and it's it doesn't do us so good, but at least it's known. We know what it is and how it feels, and that can be a big point to hold us back. And and that's why there are these different stages, and it might take some time before you actually reach the phase that the weighing off from okay, where I'm at is feels so strong that now is really the point. I do need to change something, that it needs to build up. So even so, there's such a big wish for it. You might not be ready at that moment, and there are certain ways of moving a little bit closer to it, but sometimes it just needs that time then before you can take the leap.
And I'm gonna add on to it, and also just the self-sabotage is the fear of unknown in a way. Yeah. And I'm gonna put forward the theory, and this is a hypothesis. It's called the triune brain. It's not the best hypothesis, but it's a part of explaining how the brain works. And actually, the brain consists of 3 different stages of development. So like the early primal brain, which is just reactive, and it's like reflexes on our environment. So basically it asks us the question, am I safe? And just being comfortable at home. And I always imagine yourself under a blanket with a bag of chips and like a Coke or whatever, and just chilling and doing nothing, because actually you're super comfortable. Your body gets food, and it's not the great food, but it gets food, it's get warmth, it's getting some kind of entertainment at the same time. So it definitely, you are comfortable and safe in a certain way. Nobody's going to attack you. So that's the brain. It wants to be very, very somewhere in a like safety zone. And then you have like the emotional brain. It's the limbic system. It's like the midbrain, and it's developed from the primitive brain. And then it wants connection. And this is also the glue piece where we're talking about being grateful, happy, connect to other people, because it asks the question, am I connected? And if you feel connected to your environment, to your surroundings, it will let you feel more safe as well, and also a bit more happy and stuff. And then you have like the prefrontal cortex. Maybe it needs a bit of explanation. It's like this part of the brain, behind your frontal skull, which is like the executive functions. And it asks the question, can I learn something from this? And it's all about planning, being creative, problem solving. And it is now that 90% of the time during the day, we actually are not in this cognitive state. We're basically in the mid or lower part of our brain. And 10% is cognitive. And basically, as an example, when you go to the groceries, most of the time you say like, hey, I need food. You've got like a signal, you thought about it. But when you actually arrive in the supermarket, you buy only the same products as you did yesterday and the day before and the day before. So 90% of it was just the same old routine because it's safe. Again, it's just being safe, routine, the known. And so when you are stressed, for example, you will get into like the primal brain, avoiding, freezing, fighting to get safe. And cognitive, you need to be relaxed, really into a nice, safe spot, connected to other people. So if you are basically stressed, this is the good or bad question. If you feel stressed and you see someone stressed, the direct link to dive deep into this is go to the emotional brain, because it's actually linked to both of them. It's the middle part. So if you tap in someone's emotions, you can start to talk about problem solving, but also about why you're afraid. And this is actually, for me, the most clear hypothesis to explain this to people, but it's definitely not the most accurate. There are more accurate, but then it's super hard to explain. So this is, for me, the best answer I can give.
Wonderful. Thank you. So much information. I love it. And unfortunately, we have to end it here because we're at a time. But for those that joined late, we are going to have a replay of the masterclass that's going to be on our website and also on our YouTube channel. So you can always go back and rewatch. Thank you so much, Katja. Thank you so much, Aaron, for the super insightful and informative masterclass. And we cannot wait to see you in February. Thanks again, everyone, for joining, and have a lovely weekend.